Hello everyone, this is Eric with GameBall, the gaming trackball mouse. In this video, I will give you an update on our current products and also talk about our future products. I will cover the original GameBall and where we're at with that, the GameBall Thumb, talk about those two. Those are our current products, and then I will talk about some future products, and I will spend most of the time on this video covering the GameBall Pro. And then at the very end, I'll talk about a product that we have been working on, or at least thinking about working on, and I'll cover that in the end. If you want to skip around, I'll break up the video into sections, so you can feel free to jump around if you like. So I'll talk about GameBall, the original GameBall and GameBall Thumb first, and then like I said, I spend most of the time on the GameBall Pro. So let's go ahead and dive into it. All right, so GameBall and GameBall Thumb. So the original GameBall, that's this guy right here. That one is the one that's our first product, been out for quite some time. We are currently out of stock on GameBall. We have had issues sourcing products, mainly sourcing products at competitive prices. We're still very small. As such, we don't have the buying power of some of these other companies. So we are currently out of stock on some of the components. I'm guessing we'll be about a month away before we can get these back in stock. And unfortunately, we're gonna have to raise our prices on this. We've done a pretty good job over the years since we released GameBall of keeping the price the same, but with all the price increases we've all seen, unfortunately, we're gonna have to raise the price of the original GameBall. I don't have a price yet on that. We're still trying to get our final prices put together, but once we have that, of course, I'll post it out on the website. But yeah, we're currently out of stock on the original GameBall. GameBall 2.0 is the next generation of the ambidextrous GameBall. And we have partnered, or we are partnering with another vendor to get that built. However, that's currently on hold. Nobody's fault. We're just working out the details. That is still a ways out there. I'll say at least a year, if not more. That will be the original GameBall with a better top-end design for better ergonomics, wired and wireless, and just overall improvements with components, a better sensor, better switches, that type of thing. So that will be GameBall 2.0. Unfortunately, I don't have a time frame on that. And that one's probably one of our furthest out products that it's still out there a ways. But look for the website when we have the original GameBall back in stock. Hopefully that will be soon. I'm saying a month. It could be sooner, could be longer. And then with that will come a price increase. For the GameBall Thumb, that's currently out there. That's available, so if you want to purchase that, you can. That's the standard edition. We sold out of the limited edition versions. But yeah, this is our Thumb version, and that is out on the website. We do have a current issue with lithium batteries shipping across borders. It's not just us, it's everybody who ships lithium batteries, which are classified as dangerous or hazardous materials. It's not illegal. You can definitely ship across borders. You can jump on an airplane with a laptop and a tablet and a phone, and they all have lithium batteries, and you can take a flight and cross borders. The issue is your third-party logistics, your Amazons, your ShipBobs, which is who we use, don't want to take on the risk of and the liability of shipping a hazardous material across a border. So if they receive products, that's fine. Like I have a warehouse in the United States where I receive product, and they will inventory those and they will ship within the United States. However, they will not ship to Canada. They won't ship to Mexico. They won't ship anywhere across the border. Same goes for our location in the United Kingdom. They'll ship within the United Kingdom, but they won't ship to Germany, Italy, France, etc. So currently, for anything with the lithium battery for us, we're not able to ship that across the border. So for customers in the US and the UK, you're fine. Anybody outside of that, you would have to ship it to a friend or family member and then forward it. Again, that's not illegal. We're not talking about anything illegal here. We're talking about risk and liability and what our third-party vendors are willing to take on or not willing to take on. We're looking at possible solutions. Yes, one solution is just to simply store product in every single country. But as you can imagine, that gets expensive. That gets a lot of overhead and management associated with that. So we're looking at other possible solutions on what we can do with getting any of our products with lithium batteries out across borders. So that's a current issue. I apologize for that. Again, we're working on possible solutions. We do have these in stock for, again, the customers in the US and the UK. They will not see a price increase. at least not anytime soon. We pre-bought the components for that, and we have quite a few of those. We also manufacture this in China, which keeps our costs down, and our manufacturer there buys in bulk, which gives us better economies of scale when it comes to the balls, switches, sensors, that type of thing. So that's the update on the original GameBall, GameBall 2.0, and then the GameBall Thumb. So let's go ahead and talk about GameBall Pro. All right, so this is GameBall Pro. Let me turn this thing on so you can see some of the RGB lighting. This is our newest product to be released, and it is a finger trackball with a larger 44 millimeter ball. This particular unit is a 3D printed unit. It's, you know, not perfect. It has a number of issues. You'll notice there's a big piece of tape right here because it broke. There's also an RGB light missing. So, because it's not missing, it actually broke as well as part of that. The buttons aren't crisp and clean, and it's not perfect yet. It actually, there's a housing that when it shipped to, on this latest one, and when it shipped to me, it broke, so the ball isn't sitting as firmly. So there's a number of issues with this thing. It does work. This is a working prototype. This is the latest one that we have, so I wanted to share it and give you an overview of kind of how it works, the functions, the buttons, the features, all those things as we get closer to release. So the main thing about GameBall Pro is, like I said, it's a right-handed design. It's a larger ball. I think it's much more ergonomic than the original GameBall. The original GameBall, of course, is ambidextrous. So with this being a right-handed, you can shape it much more. You can angle it to fit your hand a lot better. So it took inspiration from a lot of different trackballs that have been released over the years. The ball size is a compromise. Some people like larger balls, some people like smaller. This, I feel, is a pretty good size overall. You can easily fit 2 fingers on there, 3 if need be. But if you look at the way your hand sits on there, you can easily reach all these buttons, and your thumb can reach the buttons on the side. So let me go over the button assignments, because we have something here that's a little different and new that I'm excited about. So first off, on the left-hand side there, you'll see your thumb button. You'll see the scroll wheel, and then you'll see the back button. So that's the way those will be configured, left and then back. And then the scroll wheel is a horizontal scroll wheel, so it's up and down. This particular one is just plastic. It's not real great. It does work, but the final one will have a texture on it, and will be metal or somewhat metal, but it'll have much more weight to it, and will scroll a lot easier. This one isn't bad, but again, it's 3D printed, and it has a couple issues with it. So, but I like the ergonomics overall of the left side. You're pressing, inward and down a little bit, which is a very comfortable motion for your thumb, and it's very easy to reach this upper button as well. One nice thing about the Pro is you can rotate it, and if you look at the way my fingers are sitting there, depending on how you rotate it, if your hands are larger and smaller, you'll be able to reach those buttons a lot easier. So that's the left side buttons. The right side buttons this is your right click. This is your forward button. Again, that'll be the default there. Your middle mouse button, and then your precision button. Middle mouse, of course, is your middle mouse button. The scroll wheel does not have a mouse click on it. That's for a number of reasons. There's a lot of people who did not want that when you're in gaming. Sometimes when you're scrolling, we will click the button accidentally, which can cause issues, especially if you're playing a fast-paced shooter type game. So there's no click on the scroll wheel as far as a button is concerned. So your middle mouse button is over here, and then your precision button, what that does, it's also called the sniper button. We've had it on all of our trackball units so far. And what that does is it takes your current sensitivity and lowers it by quite a bit. So if you're doing fine movements, doesn't have to be within a game, it could be in, if you're doing programming or 3D editing or whatever, you'll press that button one time, it'll take you into a precision mode, press it again, and it releases out of that precision mode. So those are the core buttons. Those haven't changed too much. The one that you might have noticed on the side over here is there's 2 buttons down below. And probably the biggest feedback we've gotten on all of our trackballs is add more buttons, add more buttons. So we have 2 buttons down below. They will be default as your home and your end button. So on a keyboard, home and end, home takes you to the beginning of a page or document, and end takes you to the end of it. Very easy to reprogram that in your games, and you can reprogram any of these in your games. But that gives you 2 more buttons if you're playing Diablo or Avowed or Helldivers. Those are some of the games I'm playing. You can reprogram those as a map, as a grenade, as a reload, whatever your preference is there. So 2 additional buttons. I think people really enjoy that, and it gives us gives you a little bit more flexibility in having more buttons accessible on your input device, in this case the trackball. So it will have a, what do we got? We got a 33, I'm looking at my notes, 3335 sensor. That's a PixArt sensor. It's up to 12,000 DPI, very fast acceleration and tracking speed and all that. And yes, 12,000 DPI is crazy high, and probably nobody will ever have it that high. But what we've learned is with these higher end sensors, you get other performance increases like tracking speed, acceleration, better tracking overall. So by having a better sensor in there, yes, you'll get a DPI setting that you'll probably never use. However, you're getting the benefits of all those other features on that sensor. So currently it's the 3335 PixArt that's in there, 12,000 DPI sensor. Optical switches on the core buttons. So that's these 4. For the smaller buttons, we go with standard KO micro switches, and that has to do with just not a lot of room. Plus, they won't get pressed as much, whereas the optical switches on your thumb, back, forward, and or left and forward. So those will all have optical switches in there, whereas the rest will have KO switches. It will be wireless, wired. You can see there's a USB-C port right there. Wireless, wired, and Bluetooth. There's a setting down below. You can see there's a little switch there that will switch between, it's not marked, you can't really see it, but there's 3 settings. One will be 2.4 wireless, one will be Bluetooth, and one will be USB wired. So those are the 3 settings that you'll be able to switch to. And then on the other side, you'll have your RGB button, which will switch between your RGB colors. And then the button below that is your DPI, which will switch between your DPI settings. The pads here, just to ignore those. Those are just temporary pads that I have on the bottom while I'm using it. But it will have more permanent, nicer pads once we get that all done. So that's GameBall Pro. I've been using it for a while now. Again, this particular one isn't perfect. For example, it's 3D printed. I don't know if you can hear that, but this button squeaks. It kind of drives me a little bit crazy. But that's just a result of being 3D printed and not as precise as a true injection molded. But it works overall really well. The buttons have a nice click to them. The RGB lighting, I like the location of that. As you put your hand on it, you can still see it from your desk. We had the logo up here before, and when you put your hand on it, you couldn't see the RGB lighting, so that was some feedback that we got. So I like having it down there on the bottom there. As you can walk into your office or whatever, it's easy to see that. So that's the RGB lighting. Overall, very happy with it. There's still some tweaks that have to be done on the GameBall Pro. The big question is, when will we release this? This is our latest prototype. We still have to go through probably a couple more, hopefully not too many more, to get this thing just exactly right. From there, we go into production. We were, targeting early summer. That's not going to happen now. We've had some setbacks. Summer is still a target, but we're looking at the end of summer. I think the latest I have for my manufacturing is August. But with these type of things, any number of things can cause delays. So we're looking at potentially August for release. And of course, once we do get closer, I'll put out videos, the website, a lot of information, so you'll be up to date. We'll do just like we did in the previous ones. Is the limited edition one will have a red ball with a red base, and then the standard edition will have a black ball with the black base. So when the limited edition comes out, we'll sell so many of those, and then once those are gone, they're gone, and then you'll be able to buy the standard edition. Now, of course, one nice thing about using a 44 millimeter ball is you can get those third party really easy. So if you don't get the limited edition, or you want a blue ball or yellow or green or whatever, you can get those on Amazon or just about whatever. So by going with a more standard size ball, it gives the customers a lot more flexibility on there as well. So even though the standard or the limited edition will have a red ball, if you want blue or whatever else, you'll be able to buy those third party out there. So that's GameBall Pro. Very excited about it. Really want to get this one out there. If you remember from the very beginning where we started with all this, the original Kickstarter was a right-handed design. Similar to this, it's seen some, obviously changes, I think some overall improvements on it. Little things like this little curve here, so it rests your pinky a lot easier, and it's a lot easier to press on that little button. The little curve here, so you're pressing more inward and down. This little tiny ridge up here, so it's easier to hit this top button. So just a lot of little things have gone into this. The curvature of the thumb button here, so again, as you slide your thumb or rotate your hand, or you have larger hands or smaller hands, it can accommodate that. So just a lot of little things like that to make it more comfortable for people. But very excited about GameBall Pro. I really want to get this out there as soon as possible. Yes, we might potentially have the same issue with the lithium batteries, shipping across borders. So it's something we want to get solved before we, solve for Thumb, so that when we release the Pro, it won't be an issue. But I can't guarantee that right now. We may end up having to store it in more warehouses across the globe. But we'll see how that is, and of course I'll give you an update as it gets closer. So keep on the lookout for the GameBall Pro. Feel free to subscribe to the channel, post questions down below. To be honest, that's probably the best way to get replies, is just attach this video. I'm on Reddit quite a bit. You can send me an email, those type of things, but probably the best way is just to leave comments down below. So subscribe to this channel, and then when we get closer, I'll release a video with more details, show you the final product, and probably show it on the computer so you get a feel for it actually in action. But yeah, that's Pro. That's how your hand sits. You're using 2 fingers. Very ergonomic in my mind. You have extra buttons on there. All the latest optical switches, and a very high PixArt sensor. So very excited about this one. Pricing, I don't have a price on it yet. It will be manufactured in China, so it's going to be more in line with your competitors' products. So we look for Logitech Kensington type pricing, I would say, much more in line with what you see out there with Elecom and the others. So I think you'll be happy with the pricing once we do get that finalized. So late summer, hopefully sooner, but any number of things can cause delays there, but keep a lookout for that. So that is the GameBall Pro. Again, feel free to leave comments and down below, and we'll go from there. All right, so let's talk about one other product that we're thinking about, which is branching out from trackballs and getting into a GamePad, a gaming pad. There's a lot of them out there. I own a bunch of them. I've used them. I think a lot of them are really good, but a number of them just aren't quite what I would like in a gamepad. And a gamepad, if you're not familiar, is basically a small keyboard that you have in your left hand. So you'll have a gamepad in your left hand and a trackball in your right hand. We're going to have an analog stick for thumb movements if you want, or WASD, depending on what your preference is. So we're exploring that. That is still a ways out there, but that's something that we want to have Hall effect keys, Hall effect analog joystick on there, swappable keys, swappable caps, the whole bit. It's also, I think it's kind of crazy how expensive some of those are. And we want to try to keep that more in line with just standard keyboard type pricing. So that will be manufactured in China, but the idea is to have a high polling rate, good level, like I said, Hall effect key switches in there, so it's fast, it's durable. You'll have fast responses on it as well. So that's what of course we're going to call it the GamePad, but that is our gaming keypad that we are tentatively working on. Now I will say, there's a couple other people out there who are also working on a new gamepad or new gaming pad, and if theirs comes out and it has everything, and I think it's really good, then we'll probably cancel our project. But if we still feel we can create a product that meets the niche and people still would like, then we'll move forward on it. So, but as of right now, it's something that we're exploring. We have the design already. We have a very, very early non-working prototype, but we do have that design getting close to being finalized as far as where the buttons are, how the hand sits on it, being very ergonomic. So that's something that we're working on as well. So those are the updates that we have. Sorry for a little bit longer video, but hopefully that answered some questions on either the original GameBall and the GameBall Thumb, and then of course the GameBall Pro and then the GamePad. So thanks for watching the video, and we will talk soon. Bye.